And we are ready to rock and roll with Tim Walters of Florida Today. We're going to dissect my latest article, and I know pretty soon that music is going to start playing. But we are going to be talking about... Oh, the music is on. So I'll tell you later what we're going to be talking about. Oh, I can listen and talk at the same time. Okay. So we're going to be talking about... What is our article today about, Tim? I forgot.
The power of belief.
The power of belief. We are going to talk about that today and enjoy the ride. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to grow and learn together. Time to dance like a Muppet.
I hear the music.
I miss being in the studio with you.
Me too. That was fun. We were just showing Isabella the Muppet Christmas last night.
But I have to tell you, the studio in WWBC is pretty good too. So we'll talk maybe about doing. Yeah, let's do it.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to live the life of your dreams and embrace a new truth. This new truth has been just festering in me over the last 4 years, and it finally just came out like when you have food poisoning, it comes out of your mouth like that. It's like, okay, it's a new truth. Are you ready to embrace a new truth? Well, just recently, I was driving and heard a preacher preaching something that I was very mesmerized because the guy was very charismatic, very entertaining, and I could hear his congregation just so excited for his message. But guess what? That message landed in my stomach like a ton of bricks. I had my article because today we get to dissect my Florida Today article that goes out in print tomorrow, but you can find it online at floridatoday.com. And so that article, that I had already started my game. I was like, oh, I'm ahead of the game. I'm going to write my article early. And I heard this preacher speak, and we've got lots to talk about today. Today we have Tim Walters. He's my Swiss Army knife of editors. He does a lot for the Florida Today, which is a newspaper in Brevard County and the surrounding areas as well. He'll let us know about that. And so the article is online. And then tomorrow, the article will be in print in Florida Today. And so if you catch it, if you read it, when you read it, please share it with your friends and family. So since it's our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Tim Walters is back this last time this year on the Lillian McDermott radio show. So welcome back, Tim.
Awesome. Thank you, Lillian. I could be that preacher for you. I can give you the God is powerful. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
God is so powerful.
That was pretty similar to what he sounded like.
People will have to read it, and they'll hear my voice in their head now as that passage in your column goes by. All you got to do is ask God.
Did you like how I wrote it? I am so grateful to Florida Today because you take my words and you leave them intact as I wrote them. You haven't edited me to the point where you're censoring me. You allow me to be, and I'm so grateful to you, Tim, because I know that you're a major factor of this. You edit my work and you approve it, so that's how it goes there, right?
Absolutely. There's a journalistic way of editing where I could probably just edit this the way I was taught in journalism school and just take the voice out of it. But the way you write, even though I was kind of jokingly narrating that pastor voice, that's what I heard as I read it. So I leave the uppercase. I leave the word so with,
with 5 O's.
After it. Yeah. I leave things in capital because when people read that, it gets that emphasis, it gets that voice to it. And I think that's just a great way of writing when you're trying to express something, especially in the format that you do it.
Well, you have never censored me. Even I'm still grateful because today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the articles I've written this year. I'm so grateful Florida Today did not censor me in the one article this year that meant the most in a deeper and more profound way, which was, are you chemotherapy deficient? But we'll talk about that later on. For now, share a little bit about your background, Tim, and what led you to being such a wonderful lover of the language and the written word.
Oh, sure. So, I love working for Florida Today, grew up reading it, went to journalism school to come back and work here. And now I'm one of their senior editors there. I'm the sports editor. I'm the health editor. I manage the photography staff. And then we also, Gannett, our parent company, owns the newspaper to our south counties for Indian River, Martin, and St. Lucie County. They're called Treasure Coast TC Palm. And I'm their sports editor as well. So I cover 4 counties, 2 newspapers, and I do anything I'm called to do. And then there's, of course, my favorite thing, writing about my daughter, Isabella. I write a parenting column called Daddy Duty as well. I fit that in once a week.
Yes, Daddy Duty is a wonderful, for those of you who are young parents or young fathers, Daddy Duty takes you through a glimpse every week of what's going on in Isabella's life in the perspective of her father. And it's really sweet and special. I've gotten to know Isabella through your eyes, Tim, and she's a beautiful, beautiful, vibrant little girl.
Absolutely. Yep. My favorite thing I do during the week.
Yeah, you're a great daddy. And for those of you who want to continue listening, we're going to have Tim read what I heard because he's got it nailed down. He gets me. He gets me. And this is not to be offensive. This is what I heard, and we're just sharing it exactly how we heard it. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters of Florida Today when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. We should just do this privately for the people who want to view it, because I just want to see your face.
Can I get an amen now?
Can you get an amen now?
Amen now.
I remember the Yesa. The Yesa. There was a song every year. I don't know if you know this, but I sing, and every year I was asked to do Vacation Bible School at our church at St. Peter and Paul over in Winter Park, and there was a song that it was I don't remember what it was. Christian. It was like spelling out Christian or something like that. And when they got to there's an S in Christian. Like, what is it the right word? Okay. And so when we get to the S, we'd go Essa, and I would teach the kids that, and that's how I wrote it in my my notes when I was like explaining to them how to sing it, and it was a Essa, and there's a U, and so it wasn't. No, it wasn't Christian. I'm trying to remember what word we were spelling. And so we would do all these things. And as I was listening to this preacher while I was driving, I had that image of all the kids doing the same gestures that I was doing. But what struck me the most was how wrong the message was. That's what struck me the most. And I just couldn't, I'm telling you, it festered in me like food poisoning. And the next morning, I tell you, I had, and by the way, the next article is halfway written already, Tim. I just want to let you know.
Good.
Yeah, and it's called Truth or Dare. Do you remember the game?
I do.
So that's either going to be, do you want to play a game? Truth or Dare. Did you ever play Truth or Dare when you were a kid?
Might have once or twice.
Did you do the truth or did you do the dare?
Ah, boy, I honestly don't remember. I probably, I don't know, I probably did the truth because I hated doing things, those ridiculous, awful dares.
And that is what I'm counting on. I think you'll like my next article. But I rewrote. I put that article aside because I just couldn't take these words in my head. And then, here we go. And we lost Tim. Where'd you go? There he is.
Sorry, had to duck to the side to cough. Sorry.
Oh, you remind me. It's like when Jake is over at the house. Where's Jake? There he is.
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail.
There he is. Where's Tim? There he is.
959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today's to help me my co-host, because we're both teachers today from the article, and is Tim Walters of Florida Today. He's my editor. And one of my favorite editors, I must say, because my husband also follows up with, what did you mean by that? Or, he's like my number one reader. And if it passes the Robert test, I know it will pass the Tim test. So I'm excited for all the help from my friends that I get. So today, Tim, I would love for you to read what I heard as you heard it in your head as I wrote it. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, you got the article in front of you, or no?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so
do you want me to go through the preacher type thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
I want everybody to pretend that you're driving and you're listening to this preacher in the car, and this is how I heard it. Go ahead, Tim.
God is so powerful. Yes, sir. God is so powerful. All you got to do is ask. You don't have to do a thing. If you want a car, just ask for that car, because God can do anything. Yes, sir. Just keep asking, and one day that car will just show up in your driveway, and you don't even need to work for
That
it.
right there. You don't even have to work for it. That's what I had a problem with. I didn't have a problem with anything about asking. I didn't have a problem about our Creator doing great things. You don't even have to do a thing, not even work. That's what festered in me. When you read that, Tim, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised. I mean, obviously, both of us being people of faith, we, I guess, have a little bit different a view of how a relationship with God is supposed to work. I guess, some people who might believe that, you don't even have to work for it. But you're right, that is just, that's not it. I mean, there's a mutuality. You have to work for God if you want God to work for you. So,
yeah,
that's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, and so here and this is not to be offensive, this is what I heard, and it was so, the preacher was a little bit more charismatic, I must say, Tim, because, he was being genuine. He was being, you were trying to be the voice in my head, but here's what I'm thinking. I am no Bible scholar, and I write this in my article, but I will tell you what I am. I am a graduate of Bible Study Fellowship. That's a 7-year program where we go through the Bible and we study it with many denominations, not just your denomination. You're not even allowed to say what denomination you are. You're just there as a seeker, not to be right about your faith, but to seek the truth, right? Whatever truth that is. So the story that came to my head, Tim, was the paralytic man that was sitting by the pool of Bethesda. I think that's the name. I don't know if that is the actual place that it was, but he had been paralyzed, waiting to go into the pool where they said that the angels would call down to the pool, stir up the water, and the first one to go in would be healed. That was the belief. And that man was there for 35 years, waiting by the side of the pool. When Jesus, as the story says in John 5, Jesus asked the man, do you want to be healed? If God knows all, right? God knows all. Why would God ask the question, do you want to be healed? Because there are people who do not want to be healed. They want to be miserable in their pain. And the man said, yes, I want to be healed. Now, at that time, Almighty God, Jesus, would be able to pick that man up, drag him into the pool, or levitate him in the pool, or heal him right there on the spot. But he said, then pick up your mat and walk. Right? He gives that command. And the man picked up his mat and walked and was made well. And that's how that story goes. Whether you believe it or not, that was the story that came to my head. But the question is asked, what do you want, Tim? Tim, what do you want? Do you want to be healed?
Absolutely. I highlight things in your article. So there are a couple of lines that I highlighted. There was one that you said, unless I am willing to do my part along with my creator, the probability of getting what I want diminishes greatly. I think that that's so well put, because that kind of gets to the point of what I was saying of you have to work for it in your relationship with God. You also said, when did our creator turn into Santa?
Yeah.
Which, there's irony in that line, but it's very true. I mean, people, I guess they wait for things to be handed to them, just because they have faith, when they don't realize that faith doesn't mean, just getting things again without working for it. That you say that kind of mentality can lead to feeling entitled and worse, angry with God. And I also love that, because I had just written recently about privilege and entitlement.
Yes.
And, there's become such a negative connotation in the national media about this idea of privilege and entitlement, as if people who, have things in life are privileged and entitled. And that bothers me so much, because there are people like me who don't come from great means, who worked hard in high school, took education seriously, worked hard in college, got a job and worked my way up. And now at 40, almost 41, I do have a good life. And it's not privilege or entitlement. It's that I've worked my butt off for 25 years, since I was like 16 and started working, flipping burgers.
Yeah.
So that's really what your article really brought a lot of that out in me, and thinking about what's going on in our world today, and how people are angry with God because they don't have what they want. And it's working to get what you want that gets you there. It's not expecting God to give it to you.
Yeah, many of us fall short. And I say that in the article, many of us fall short to that. Okay, I'm going to ask my girlfriend, Pam Bouch, and we would get together when we were young mothers. We would pray together. And at one point, I had to laugh, because I said, our prayers are, I want, amen. But at what point do we step out and say, I do? I mean, even that, when we take our vows, when we love somebody, we say, I do. We even have to say, it's not like, you take her, don't say a word. You take him, don't say a word. We say, I do. We declare what we want. And so that just like festered in me. And that same day, and I write about Barry in my article, my show is rebroadcast in Brevard County. And he was listening at noon, and I was giving away a book. And he really wanted the book, but he didn't call. When he was driving back home at 5:00, he heard the show. So in the show, it was the 10th caller or texter. And let me tell you, when Barry heard my show again at 5:00, he was not only the number one and the 10th caller, I think he went on to be the 20th caller too. He showed me that you have to do your part to get what you want. And guess what? Barry won the book. He was my 10th caller because he did what he had to do. So Barry kind of like underscored my point and why. And I even called him back, and I just saw all those texts. And I'm like, what is behind this story? And so I called him to tell him that he won. And so he shared with me his story. And I said, do you mind if I write about you in Florida Today? He goes, no, go ahead. So that's why I wanted to acknowledge Barry, because he showed me that this is exactly why I was so bothered by this. It wasn't what he was saying. It was the intention behind it, that asking without doing. I mean, what do you think, Tim?
But first, I want to say hi to Barry. If he's such a big fan, he must be listening to us.
Oh, I texted him this morning. I said, we're going to be talking about you, Barry.
All right. Barry, good job. Nice to see you. Good talking to you. I remember, I went to a Catholic school as a kid, and I do remember that we used to say prayers, Lord, give me the strength to.
Yeah.
So, it was asking for God to give us the strength to do whatever we wanted to do. So it wasn't like we were saying, Lord, do this for me. It was saying, Lord, help me to do this for me. So I think there's such a distinction there in how people pray, in what they're asking for. So that's one thing.
What else do you have highlight?
Yeah. So, what else I have highlighted? You said there will be times when we ask our Creator, and ask is in all capital letters for people who are reading the text. So when we ask our Creator for something and we work hard to do our part, but it still does not happen, gratitude, acceptance, and a positive attitude will help us understand that things work out for the good of all.
Romans 8.
And then what's that?
Romans 8.
Yep. And then, so then you break ask down, the reason it was capitalized, into one of your signature acronyms, one of the shortest Bible.
Well, I was giving the preacher the benefit of the doubt. And maybe when he said ask, what he really meant was the acronym ask.
And so you break ask down into acknowledge your desire and believe you and our Creator can do all things.
Yes.
The S is search for opportunity, leads, groups, networks, barters, do whatever it takes.
Yes.
And K is know that the Creator who created you gave you the power to do great things.
Absolutely.
So you sum up a large chunk of life into 3 sentences.
Which is very contra what I normally do, because, I remember one time you said, what was that saying that you told me, that the only reason this letter is long is because I didn't have enough time to shorten it?
Yes, Mark Twain said that.
Mark Twain.
I would have written a shorter story, but I didn't have enough time.
Yeah, so you have encouraged me to say it briefly. And so acronyms have worked for me with writing, because I can say what I want to say in a briefer way when I do have a limit of how many words I could write, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's what I wanted to acknowledge, that we, along with our Creator, do great things. And this is where we always say that God is everywhere, right? Right, Tim?
Sure.
God is everywhere. Well, if God is everywhere, that means God is in you and God is in me. And this is where we've humanized God. And when I say God, for those of you who call God differently, or call, I want to acknowledge a belief. So whatever it is that your belief is. So we say, okay, that Creator, God, that Creator is everywhere. Well, that Creator is in me. And if that Creator, God, is in me, gosh, what can't I do? I can do all things. That's Philippians. That I can do all things because that breathed that Holy Spirit in me, or the disciples long ago, also breathed it in me from the moment I was created. So for those of us who feel they're not enough, just the mere fact that you were created makes you enough. What do you say, Tim? You're quiet.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I'm just actually enjoying listening to you, and because it's such a great message, especially now at this time of year when people are looking toward Christmas and they're looking toward the holidays and they have all of these expectations on things. It's easy to kind of get lost away in the season and miss the whole point of what it's here for. And, to achieve happiness, you have to kind of look within. Yes. and find that inner power, as opposed to, expecting it to come to you.
Very good. Absolutely. And we're going to continue our conversation. Tim's going to be taking over after this one. When we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com, we'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, I could see you were like deep in thought, Tim.
Yeah, I was actually reading ahead in your column too, because I was, I think after the next segment, with your New Year's commitments, were you using the word commitment to replace resolutions?
Yes.
Okay. That's
I don't like the word resolutions. I've called it declarations. I've called them commitments. I've called them acknowledgments. But to me, resolution has been diluted, the word resolution. And I think I say declare commitments. So I've called it declarations before. The meaning is, the word is different. The intention is the same, which is to acknowledge what we want.
Yeah, it's an interesting word to use as opposed to resolution, to use commitment. So,
How does
yeah,
that
and
how does it sit with you when you see commitments as opposed to
because
resolutions?
commitment sounds more, what's the word I'm looking for? Commitment seems more important because a resolution, people have come to know resolutions over time as you try and set a resolution at the new year, but most people know it's just not going to last.
I think
You
it's
know,
like 7%. Didn't I write an article about that? And
yeah,
I quoted the percentage. I think it was 7% or 8% of people keep their New Year's resolutions.
yeah, and most of those people are lying because I bet it's lower than 8%.
Well, the article that I wrote was about someone took my treadmill, and January 3rd, someone was on my treadmill, and by February 8th, they were no longer in my treadmill. I think I wrote that article maybe in February.
Yeah, I do remember that. But the reason I like commitments, or why I say commitments is kind of a clever way to put it, because a commitment is so much more of a definitive, so much more of pouring yourself into a thing, a commitment, a
Yeah.
relationship, that type of thing. So like to me, resolutions are almost, hate to use the word, but disposable, but
Mhm.
commitments are not. So if you're
Yeah.
making a commitment, you're putting more into it than a resolution. So that's kind of where I was getting lost while
I was looking at you because you looked like you were so deep in thought. I said, okay, well, Tim, I I want to make sure that you say whatever it is you want to say, Tim. Yep.
I apologize. I
No,
went
no,
to
no, 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 no,
on you
no,
there.
no. This is, and we're talking about the power of belief, but what do we believe? Belief is so important. Even people who say they're atheists believe in something. And I did a show, I do the show on breaking down the walls of religion. And my first guest, and it was breaking down the walls to find our similarities, not our differences. And so I had an atheist, which would be contra a believer, so they don't believe, we believe. And I really worked hard to find our similarities. And finally, I figured it out because I asked, what do you celebrate during Christmas? And what do you celebrate? And so I got to understand the perspective of an atheist, right? Or agnostic or whatever. And what we have in common. Guess what? The one thing I was able to find in common with an atheist?
What's that?
Love.
Huh?
Love. God is love, right? And then wait, I figured it out. We have love in common. And then we, like, Julie was on that show, and my friend Julie, and we were like, yeah, I think we figured out what we have in common. And when we came off the air, she goes, well, our love means different than your love. And I went, oh, don't ruin it for me. Don't ruin it for me. Love is love. Love is love. So let's keep it at that. And she said, okay.
All right.
But, isn't it amazing? We try to find each other's differences, but very seldom try to find our similarities. And people aren't used to that. Just like the word commitment versus, resolution.
Sure. I guess when you talk about similarities, people, you can't argue over similarities. It's like people almost like to argue with each other.
Yeah. What are we similar about? No, yes, you are. No, you aren't. So, okay.
Even if you find something similar, they'll argue.
I know. What do you mean we're similar this way? No, we're not. Okay.
I'm a bigger fan than you are.
Oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You can text Lillian McDermott. Or
Do you want me to start?
At 407.
Well, this is the halftime, right? Let me get through the.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to Lillian McDermott Radio Show worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and my co-host is Tim Walters of Florida Today. We're talking about the power of belief, which is the article of my latest that is the name of my latest article on Florida Today. I'm published once a month, and I truly enjoy writing and pouring myself out into the written word. And I love the fact that Tim accepts it as is. he gets me. I think he gets me. Thank you, Tim, for that. And so I want to encourage you. This is where we get to take responsibility. I want to ask you to please go to whenyouneedafriend.com. It's amazing how many people listen to my show and don't know I have a website. How does that happen? Whenyouneedafriend.com is where we have the conversation of 100% responsibility. And if you have not become a subscriber to the Lillian McDermott radio show, whenyouneedafriend.com, why not? Why not? Make that commitment today to go online to whenyouneedafriend.com, because when you do, you not only get some free gifts, you get the show delivered right to you, so you don't have to worry if you can't listen in the morning or at noon or in the evening. You can also listen on the website or podcast or YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube because we have conversations between. We do not turn off the recording. We keep going and we have conversations during the break. So it's something different for everybody. If you'd like to watch, you can watch the YouTube. If you'd like to listen, you can just listen on the podcast. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com. And the one thing I ask when you are at whenyouneedafriend.com is to check out my sponsors. Without them, we would not have a show. So please check them out and see how you can support them as they support us. Please like me on social media. When you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, all you have to do is click and it'll take you there. So like me in my social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com. You can call me, leave a message, or text me at 407-373-5959. And not only can you hear me on demand on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and Google. Did I say Google Play Music? Okay, so iTunes, you can also now listen to me on Spotify. So Spotify just said yes to the Lillian McDermott radio show. So no excuses. We can stay connected 24/7. And one of my favorite editors is Tim Walters of Florida Today, and he is here as my co-host. Now take it away, Mr. Tim. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Sure, no problem. They do everything with your show except beam it right into your brain.
And maybe soon we can do that.
Yeah, there you go. And I also wanted to remind people, if they want to read your article, also to go to floridatoday.com/health. And we forgot to tell people that you and I also do a TV segment.
That's right.
We are on WEFS TV, which is run by Eastern Florida State College. It's their public access channel here in Brevard County. And we also post that segment to the website. So again, floridatoday.com/health. And you can watch about a close to 10-minute segment of Lily and I, again, dissecting her article, although in a much briefer form than we get here on the radio.
Yeah.
But today we are talking about the power of belief. And we've already talked about your inspiration for it being the TV evangelist type person you heard on the radio.
Yeah.
And the message that you don't have to do anything, God will do it for you, and have that just kind of stuck in your craw.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about, your acronym for ASK, acknowledging the desire, searching for opportunities, knowing the creator. I'm summing those up quickly. And that leads us to, and we had a great discussion of this in between segments. So as Lillian was saying, you can watch this on YouTube, go back and check that out as well. But we're going to talk about it a little bit here. I kind of got lost last segment as I was reading ahead because a word really stuck out in something Lillian said. And she said, as you declared your New Year's commitments, here are some tips. And the word commitment just kind of caught me because people call them resolutions.
Yes.
And the thing that I guess struck me about that was when you make a resolution, we've come to in our lives, most people make resolutions and by February or sooner, they're done.
Yeah.
And so a resolution is something that is kind of in a way disposable. Whereas the word commitment is something more concrete. It's something more that you put yourself into. So when you're talking about making a New Year's commitment, it's, to me, a very different word than a resolution. Now, I don't know if more people would take it more seriously, just changing a word, but it really kind of struck me that different way, that clever way of putting it.
Well, thank you, Tim. And we were saying that I wrote an article about who stole I don't remember the name of the article, but you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and you click on my articles, and all my articles are there and they point right to Florida Today. It'll take you there. But I was upset one year that my treadmill was taken in January. And then I was like, how could, it's like there was nobody in the gym in December, and like from October or March on to December. But all of a sudden, I couldn't even have a treadmill because everybody was on the treadmill. Come February 8th, there was nobody there again. So I hate the word resolutions. I've used declarations. I've used commitments. I mean, can you imagine getting married to your spouse and saying, do you resolve to take this person? I don't think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
Until February, maybe. But that's about it. So commitments is where I want to hone in on the word and say, stop making resolutions. Declare your commitment.
And then you share some really good advice. I'll just read a couple of them to give the audience an idea, but we of course want people to go read all of them.
Sure.
But you said, if you want to love, be loving. If you want to be a good friend, be a good friend. You can listen to my show. I like how you throw that in there. If you want money, create a way to earn it. Get out and find a job or jobs. If you want happiness, be grateful and practice true forgiveness. And you go on with a few more, but the point being, if you want something, don't just believe it's going to happen, work toward making it happen. And I think that's, for so many things, for fitness, for faith, for money, for career, you name it, nothing gets handed to people these days, or very rarely, so if you want it in life, believe you can do it, but then go out and do it.
Yes, absolutely. Even if something gets handed to you, I know a lot of people who have businesses and they want to leave this business to their children. And there have been times where they've handed the business to their kids and they destroy it to the ground. But there's other times where they give these businesses when they feel their children are, or the people that they're handing it over to are ready. They work for it. They learn the ins and outs of it. Everything that is worth working for is worth waiting for, right? Or I don't know if I said that backwards. But the most important thing, and I think I want to highlight another one, is that there's so much blaming going around. I am unhappy because of you. If you didn't say this to me, then I would be happy. Happiness is a mindset. It really, truly is. If you want to see positive results in your life, then we just need to start taking responsibility and ownership of our own life. Too many people fall short at just looking at failures. But failures, to me, and I wrote an article about that, didn't I, about failures, that there is no such thing as a failure. There's no such thing as a mistake. There's only growth opportunities. Look at the different ways you've learned to create what you want, and how much more diversified are we because of it.
Yeah, and I love the discussion about failure because I have an editor, my editor Bob Gabordi, and he has a great saying about failure is actually a great way to learn. So he'll tell you, if you want to try something, try it, but if you're going to fail quick and move on.
Yes.
So it's kind of it's a way of telling people that failure is not the worst thing in the world. Look at the space program. A lot of things, unfortunately, happened early on, but they didn't let rocket explosions stop them from going to the moon or building a space station. So, it's just if you're going to fail, use it as a learning opportunity, get better from it, and then that's going to make you better going forward. And you kind of took on one of the lines I had highlighted on my sheet of paper here with talking about stop blaming others. But then you say there is no pill or power that can do anything for you unless you are willing to do whatever it takes. Yes, there is a chance you might win the lottery, but first you must buy a ticket. I love that because I buy lottery tickets, and my brother always tells me what a waste of money it is. And I say to him, but yeah, I can't win if I don't play.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? That mentality that I cannot win or I won't be wealthy unless I play the lottery ticket, the lottery. Now, I know that you play just for fun and that's something that you do. But there are people that think that that's the only way they're going to strike it rich. And I'm here to tell you that we have a power within us that is so untapped, that we have been led to believe that we are not enough to create abundance. And I'm here to talk about this new truth that says this. Pick up your mat and walk, baby, because I believe in you. I know that you can do this. And, like there's no power. There is no power on this earth, no pill that can work on us unless we're willing to do whatever it takes. And what are you willing to do, my listening friend? What are you willing to do? What is it that you desire? What are you committed to? And I say to you this is something I just stuck with me when I went through becoming a life coach, which is show me your results and I'll tell you your intentions. What did you intend? Look at your results, because you keep trying until you achieve those results. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I didn't like that at first. Like, show me your results. Looking at your results, what was your intention? Like working backwards, right? And I didn't like that. At first I was like, that was not my intention. It just happened. No, nothing just happens. Yes, there are accidents, and yes, there are things but show me your intention by your results. So what do you think about that saying?
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back from the break, I think I'd like to just kind of expound to prove your point a little bit on how I'm, got to the job that I'm in. Because when I was a kid, I literally would read our newspaper every day. And I'd say that I'm going to work there someday. And I could have just said, I want to work at Florida Today, and never did it. But I mean, that was my intention from a young age. And, I did all of the things I needed to in high school with that belief. I went to college with one major in mind. I applied to one college and got into one of the best journalism programs in the country because of my hard work prior. And, so I want people to understand that, and then I got hired at a low level job after applying here for years and years and finally getting a job.
Yeah, you got to get your foot in the door. You just got to put your foot in the door.
Exactly. And then every opportunity for growth or learning where, whether it be when video became a thing and other people in the newsroom were saying, I want to be the last person to do video. Then, I stepped up and learned those skills, and I just kept taking on more and more skills. And then I found myself not only working for the sports department, I was in charge of it. And, now I'm in charge of even more. And it's like, because you keep learning, you keep working hard, and it's knowing what you want. It's not just sitting back and saying, gosh, that guy got a promotion. It's, why he got a promotion? Because he learned everything he could.
That's right. That's right.
And there are people, and this I'm not going to say, live on the radio, but I'll say it to our Yahoo viewing
okay.
audience. But,
okay.
Yeah. I had people literally at my work that kind of were negative toward me. Like, why did he, get raised up to management from the worker level and I never did? And you look at those people and you look at what they've done in their career. And when you do the same thing day in and day out without showing you want to improve, why would somebody want to bring you up to another level of management? And I mean, I was doing things that really were outside my job scope to show my management, not only can I do this, I can do this, this, and this. And now as you see the Swiss Army knife, it's because I've learned so many things.
Well, here's the thing. Look at your intention. Your results are your intention. That's what you wanted. And you did everything. You're the perfect example of what I'm talking about. And by the way, I want to tell you, I got a text from Barry. You want to
awesome.
Should I read it on the air or should I read it now?
I read it on the air.
Okay, he'll get a kick out of it. Because I texted him this morning. I said, Barry, your name may be mentioned today on the show.
We didn't name him by last name, so people might think it's Barry Manilow.
Well, I want to protect his identity. If you want to say, I'm Barry, I'm the one that she's talking about, then, send it out. Okay, here we go. You get started, okay?
Okay.
So this is your taking over as my co-host. But maybe we can lead into talking about Barry.
Will I get a prompt on when to start talking?
Or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
McDermott. There you go.
All right. Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Show. As always, I am not Lillian McDermott. This is Tim Walters, editor at Florida Today, who edits Lillian's monthly article that goes in the health section of Florida Today. So Lillian is gracious enough to have me on her radio show today. And for one segment, usually I start out, I take over, I am, leading the charge into Lillian's
Yes.
wisdom. So leading the charge into Lillian's wisdom. You should put that in a quote somewhere.
Yeah.
But so we are talking about her latest article, which can be seen at whenyouneedafriend.com, at floridatoday.com/health, and on our Facebook pages. And there are so many different ways to see Lillian and to read about her article. So we're talking about the power of belief today. And we just got done going through different examples of how if you want things in life, don't expect that God will provide them. You have to work and believe you can achieve these things through the power that you're given, through the strength that's inside of you to do it. So did I do a pretty good job of kind of summing it up in 3 sentences?
You did a great job. No wonder you're a great editor. No, this is so important. I believe in miracles. I believe the belief. I believe in the power of belief. But when you believe something that is false, when you believe something that is erroneous or it's convenient, that doesn't make it true. So we have to be very careful with what we believe. That's why I don't say this is, I say a new truth. As you grow, your truth will also change with you. It's just like the layers of an onion. I remember standing in front of a large group of people, and I had been asked the question. Now, as a life coach, you don't just become a life coach and that's it. You have to continue to hone in. I mean, as an editor, you didn't just become an editor. You continue to grow and you educate yourself. So I was in the middle of this room of 50 people, and it was John McMullen. He was on our air on the show before, and he has asked me a question, and I got so emotional. And I had dealt with this. I dealt with it over and over and over again. And I got so emotional. And as I was trying to fight back my tears, I looked at everybody that was there, and I said, with tears in my eyes, barely able to speak, I said, I've dealt with this already. And they all laughed. And it wasn't that they were laughing at me, as they understood where I was. I peeled another layer so that I can go deeper into dealing with this issue. See what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I was just going to say that peeling back that layer is really hard for people to do, and I could see what brought that emotion out in you.
Yeah, so you get to that next level. So it's like, okay, I breathed once, I'm done breathing. No, I'm saved once, so I'm saved forever, and I can do whatever I want. No, if your intention is to do good, your works will show it. And so I want to say that today's show has been a lot of fun in many ways, and when not intended at all to be disrespectful to people's beliefs, but just be careful what you believe, because you could be wrong. You can follow the wrong leader and still be wrong. So be open to consider a new truth. That's all I ask. And so I wanted to acknowledge Barry, because you had mentioned that Barry is probably listening, although I texted him this morning. I said, your name might be said a couple of times. So he sent a text, and I want to read it on the air. I have not read it to Tim yet. And so it says, I pray someone hears your show today and takes action to make a positive difference in their life and those around them. God uses us to shine his light and hope in the world. Thank you, Barry, for that text. And for those of you who text me on the show or after the show, I love every single text, every single call. I'm like a little dog wagging my tail, just loving it. And so I want to say this. Many of us put our light under a bushel. And I never understood, why would anybody put their light under a bushel? Because it could burn and destroy the light. But then I realized there are people who do that. We have got to come out from underneath and shine. Like Barry said, we need to shine bright and know that we have the power. The power is within us. And so I want to encourage all of you that are listening today and those who will listen tomorrow and the next day. I want you to know you are enough to figure it out. If you want abundance, you can create it. I know you can. I believe in you. So Tim, as we get closer to the end of the show, we've done a lot of shows together. And so this year I've come up with a lot of acronyms. I think that my articles now have to have an acronym, and I sometimes build an article with an acronym in mind. Is there anything that comes out? We've done so many shows this year. What has anything come out that would be their top?
Oh boy, I think it was probably your previous article about seasonal gratitude.
Yeah.
That one really caught my attention, and I've mentioned it to several people over the last few weeks. And it's something I'd never really broken down or thought about before until you kind of laid it out. And but this is a great season. Essentially November, December are great times of years where people are thankful for what they have. They help people more, they give more to charity, they give more, but then the other 10 months out of the year, it just kind of goes away. So, to me, that one kind of, it's something that's always kind of there in front of us, and it's something people know, but I think you put it so eloquently and discussed.
Thank you.
So that one, kind of really, that one, even though it's recent, it's still one of the ones that stuck out to me this year.
Yeah. And so, of course, we were talking about during the break, one of our favorite ones that caused quite a stir was embracing the S and F word. And that show could be heard on whenyouneedafriend.com. And it was the one that caught me off guard at the last. I couldn't even speak at the end because I had asked, a question about the F word. And of course, if you don't know what the S and F word, you're just going to have to go check it out. You can go to Florida Today and check out my article. But there's so many. I'm most grateful for my chemotherapy, our chemotherapy deficient article. It was my second article about being awareness on cancer and the treatment of cancer and the foundation, the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. And I was so grateful that you allowed that article, and people wrote to me saying, we cannot believe how bold Florida Today has been to allow your articles to go. And so thank you, Tim, because I know you're a major factor to that. So thank you.
Sure, no problem. I do remember you had one other controversial article earlier this year, if you remember. If not, it was your other take on PTSD.
Oh yeah, the PTSD, my post-traumatic sprint disorder. Sprint messed up my order, and so yeah, and that was not meant to be mean-spirited or anything. It was just my new acronym for PTSD. But anyway, that was another one. Yeah, I guess I forgotten about that on purpose, but I'm glad you reminded me.
Yeah. Well, usually I get good emails about you. That one I got, some angry people and with understanding, but,
Sure.
we explained them. We weren't trying to be insulting or flippant to them. But, there is certainly when somebody nowadays, especially, we are so tied to our phones that if you don't have it for a couple of days, I mean, it really kind of creates this awful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Those were a couple that stood out to me. Any others come to mind?
No. We're getting to the end, and I just want to ask, thank you, Tim, for being a part of the show this whole year, 12 months. Well, actually, it was 11 because we were put for during the storm. We had one without you, but
that's right.
It was great. It was great. So my question to you, my listening friend, do you have unfulfilled desires? What do you want to achieve? What is keeping you from achieving it? We are all willing to do things. When you're willing to do things, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So I want to encourage you to look at that power within you and know you can do great things. Tim Walters of Florida Today, thank you for being my partner in crime.
All right. I love being on here, and I look forward to 2018.
Yes, sir. It's time. It's time to ask. ASK. Believe you can do great things, and let's get crazy uncomfortable. Know that your creator can do everything. Act as it all depends on you. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job, Tim. It makes it easier when we can see each other, huh?
Yeah, it does. I'm prompted.
It's like, oh God, I got to do it now. Yeah. Thank you, Tim. I really do appreciate you. I know that you have a busy schedule, and for you to take the time not only to edit my work, to do a television show with me, and to also appear on a 1-hour show that takes up a lot of your time. So very grateful to you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Lillian. I appreciate you doing the work for us, having me on your show, and you coming to do our TV stuff. So, it benefits both of us. And, I wish you nothing but the happiest of holidays, Christmas, New Year's. And I can't wait to hear from you in early 2018.
Oh yeah, I already got my first article written halfway, unless I hear yes sir once more again. So let me pause here now and thank you for watching the show today, and I look forward to our show tomorrow.